back with manga comparison for the Sid and Stein arc. I already remarked on it before, but I really like the colours they used for the Rasputin fight here, and I have no idea why they randomly blacked out Maka's eyes for this one panel. It's funny, but it doesn't fit the tone of anything. That's a change between this and the anime. The anime just presented the fight as normal. It might be a translation mistake, or maybe the anime just made the line better, but they don't say, it doesn't matter if you're bulletproof, I don't use bullets. Instead it's, I don't know how many bullets you've taken, but I'll still eat your soul, which isn't as funny as a punchline. Oh, Soul's bedroom is totally different in the manga. Just very normal, ordinary, boring posters for real-life actual bands. Aphex Twin, you've got good taste, sir. But it does still have the funny clock. Blair's fan service is a little bit more in the manga. They again show the outlines of her nipples. They zoom in a lot more on her shoving her boobs in Soul's face. That still happens in the anime, but it's not this detailed. It doesn't have, like, here's her armpits, here's her crotch with her underwear out. It's just overall more tasteful. The joke isn't as funny though, because there's not a big massive pause before cutting to them flying out the window. Extremely minor change, but in the manga for some reason, the sign saying what class they're in is like indented so the crescent is underneath the others. In the anime it's just class crescent moon on one line. For some reason the manga censors the concept of a Statue of Liberty. They say the Goddess of Freedom statue instead. I mean, it can't be a copyright issue, they don't copyright the Statue of Liberty, right? More clunky translation, insisting on saying Sid Sensei for Sid, but then saying teacher for Maka's dad. It's not even consistent on the same page. Oh, for context, Sensei just means teacher. I'm pretty certain probably most people in the audience will know that if you've watched anime, but that's what I mean. I think that manga aimed at a younger audience should at least make an effort to translate or explain these things, because there's always a chance that it could be the first manga someone ever read. For some reason, Manga Maka always insists on calling her dad daddy, and he's not my daddy, I don't recognise him as my daddy, and it just feels uncomfortable because, obviously it's just an unfortunate coincidence of the times. That word nowadays is more commonly used in a sexual meaning between adults. And because the dad is a pervert character, it's entirely possible someone reading this today who didn't have prior knowledge of the word might read it this way, that her dad is perverted to her as well, which would be an unfortunate misunderstanding. I think what they were trying to go for here instead was oh, it's showing Maka does deep down care about her dad and remember how they used to have good times before he started being so shitty. She's going, oh, he's not my father, but she slips up and she says daddy, an affectionate term that a little kid might use for their father. I feel you could have preserved this intent by changing it nowadays to he's not my papa or something. Oof! Completely missing cut scene from the anime. I take it back, I guess he is a creep to literal children. After it shows Maka and Soul already leaving to go to talk to Death for their remedial lesson, it cuts back to Maka's dad, saying he's now going to teach the remaining students a class about running a cabaret club. That joke's a little bit too far beyond the pale. I know it was vaguely paedophile-ish when he was oh, I'll take a special attendance for just the female students, but I was that's relatively restrained for a joke. This is not, this is just actual child grooming. I am wondering, yet maybe I had a less negative impression of this character because I did only fully see the whole of the anime when I was a kid, because the manga didn't actually end until several years after I first got into the fandom, and I only caught up with that, what was I, in my 20s or something? This must have gone over my head when I was fully little. Another minor change, this one joke with Black Star is really belaboured and dragged out in the manga. Again, I didn't even mention it because it wasn't funny and it wasn't relevant, like most of Black Star's screen time. But they just introduce him, saying hi to him. This is the first moment where it's really oh yeah, Black Star just is an off-screen friend of all these guys, they already know him. Which we got a lot earlier in the anime, so that's interesting. But yeah, the joke here is just Black Star's oh, surprise them all, come up all stealthy because I'm the best at being stealthy, and he was not in fact the best at being stealthy. He does the same thing he always does, yelling the same rules of assassination again. In the manga, he yells out the entirety of the whole set of rules. In the anime, he gets started, everyone immediately goes, oh, there's Black Star. And he goes, haha, oh, you must have spotted me because of my star quality. And then we just carry on with the scene. Oh, actually really interesting bit of a translation note here. For once I'm glad for that clunky stuff where they don't redraw over the art. That's the generally funny joke about Sid's cool headband that looks all ominous. It's got one of those badass Japanese kanjis on it. It actually just means hole. So accidentally he was foreshadowing he was going to get a hole blasted in his head days before it happened, and that's really funny. I feel so sorry for him, but also laugh my arse off. Or is it just me, or does he look a bit different in terms of proportion in the manga? And I thought this was notable to mention because I have face blindness. Like, I have a lot of trouble telling faces apart, and yet something in my mind is still telling me there's a difference here. I just can't put my finger on what it is. Also, like, why is he coloured in white? I think maybe it's just because, like, he's a comparatively light-skinned brown man, and maybe they hadn't settled on how they were going to shade that in the manga. Born of the Future! They do indeed shade Sid as darker in the manga in later chapters, so this might have just been a one-off flub. Maybe the character was originally envisioned as not actually being African-American and just a white guy with dreads. Incidentally, they go back to, as far as I can tell, similar facial proportions in the Soul Eater Knot spin-off, and I really don't like this version in particular because it looks like they just smoothed him out and made him really generic. This is like the mobile gacha game version. Hey, the cool font for the cemetery is still here. A lot harder to read though. And oh, I only just got the reason that the school has 3 random balls hovering over it at all times is so it can look like Lord Death's face from a distance. That's really cool. I don't remember if there's been any angles like that in the anime so far. And then a change which is definitely caused by censorship is, in the manga, Sid's grave is a very boring, normal Western cross. In the anime, it's still a cross, but it's one of those creative, like, Catholic ones where they got all the circles in them. I think that's a good compromise, so it still clearly is what it is, but it also looks less... I guess maybe they have standards about specifically what kinds of crosses are allowed and what kinds aren't. Either way, it's a better solution than fully censoring it. I've seen a lot of really hilarious, shitty-looking anime censoring crosses. Oh, the animations for Sid swimming out of the ground are so much better in the manga, mixing, like, falling sand with water effects. I thought it already looked cool, but I guess they cut corners on the animation. Maybe, like, fluid dynamics cost more than animating people. Like, just look at how much better that looks. That was the scene I thought looked amazing, and they made a joke of her holding her skirt up. Okay, that's like I said, that's the minor kind of fan service you would expect in a normal show for 12-year-olds. I'm not riffing on that at all, but it does seem like a bit of an inappropriate time to have that happen when it's something so dramatic. Oh, I really love that effect of showing the holodeck hole through his head. The shading is so good. But I would say, though, it's a lot less clear in the manga that what he's holding is a twig that was sharpened into a knife because he's a knife wielder. It just seems like a nondescript spike. Like if he pulled it off a decoration on the graves or something. The only way I could really see that as being wood if it was like Buffy the Vampire steak. They do say it! Ding dong dead dong! Why is that not in the anime? It's a pun that works and exists. The fight is equally as awesome in the manga in totally different ways. I love this effect, this dramatic motion shading as he's swinging the tombstone. Also, Sid's face looks like a mouse in this one panel, and it's kind of funny. I gotta say, sometimes the manga having more loose and experimental art does generally make it look better. In the first chapter it was actually inconsistent, now it feels like the artist has learned how to use purposeful inconsistency to make really stylized expressions. Also, I forgot to mention, by now we have Maka closer to her final design for her face and her ponytails. And Black Star no longer has the hoodie, but his hair is still closer to what it was in the first chapter rather than the stylized star. And Soul's already achieved his final form with the headband and the jacket, same as usual. The random interrupting fan service scene is even more abrupt in the manga. It literally is just one page and then straight back to the fight. So let's put that out of the way and get on to a line change here. Soul taunts Sid by like, oh, if you keep swinging that headstone around, you'll really hit yourself in the head and die a second time. In the manga, that line is, if you keep befouling a gravestone like that, you'll be punished by the gods and die a second time. Which I guess was just changed because it's a little bit of a clunky and long line to explain in English, and probably doesn't come off as sassy and witty off the cuff as it was meant to be. Or it could also potentially be more religious censorship. I'm not sure why censoring the idea that it's bad to do bad things to gravestones. Wouldn't the Christians want you to be saying that more? Born of the Future, my suggestion, don't you know breaking a gravestone is bad luck? It's my own gravestone, I can do whatever I want with it. There, simple, easy, there you go. Fuck yeah, fuck yeah. Slamming Black Star in the head looks even cooler. I am obliged to show every panel of Black Star getting his shit beaten. Black Star's cool fighting moment here doesn't look quite as cool as it did in the anime, but still really great, really wonderful sense of motion. Like, holy shit, the author is really in his prime already, 4 chapters in. Does it surpass this peak? Does it get even better later on? I don't even remember. Another really good stylized fucked up villain face from Sid. And oh no, the really good dodge pose of Maka is again ruined by just little tiny whiffs of putting fan service into scenes where it doesn't really fit. They show her full underwear. Good call on the anime for completely removing this one. Like, there's no way to salvage that. That's just not the appropriate moment. In the middle of the fight, when we're all engaged in it, when it's supposed to be a badass moment for the character. But it is a little clunky how Lord Death just suddenly starts calling her Maka-chan in the middle of this moment when he hasn't said that before. This translation is really inconsistent about when it does and doesn't use honorifics. Oh, Witch Hunter Slash looks genuinely cooler in the manga. I really love the effect on the mouth. You can barely see it's meant to have a mouth on the moon in the anime because it moves so fast and it's so blurry and glowy effects. In this case, the manga benefits from having a big, long splash page like this. Maybe we'll get some better shots of it in later fights. Also, the way they draw it nearly backfiring on Black Star is even funnier. Maybe this was also changed for censorship because he got a lot close to having his whole ass head chopped off. Oh god, the earth physics are so good. I feel really bad now to think that we'll never get to see this animated. Like, if we hypothetically get a remake someday, will they have mastered this kind of animation more? Like, I was already thinking it looked cool as fuck. I couldn't have imagined it could get this much better. Black Star doing the Trap Star is still cool, but it's not as much of a long animation, it's not as funky, it's just one panel here, and then it happens. But Sid emerging from the ground once again, really fucking cool. Oh, and also apparently he's changed the spike he was fighting with. Or maybe they just drew it wrong and made it too long in this panel. Oh my god, seriously, that earth effect, how do you get that good? It's like he's coming out of a bowl of mochi or something. Hey, once again, Black Star kind of being done dirty in the anime. I did not get the impression he accidentally tied up Maka and Soul, but that seems to be what they're going for in the manga. He's just very dismissive of the fact that he did it by mistake. Which is still bad, but it kind of again makes him just feel like carefree and oblivious rather than an actively bad friend. When they reveal Death was talking to Kid in the end, they introduce him again with all of his name panels, which is probably just necessary because this was the first chapter again, after a long break between the one-shot prologue thing and now. Oh, completely new scene that wasn't in the anime. Everyone interrogating Sid to get him to tell them who the guy was who created him. We don't see this, instead it just cuts from Death telling Death the Kid about who created him, and then we get everyone else having apparently off-screen interrogated Sid, then going to the Sonup Castle, and we just end the episode on that. Also, I only just noticed that Sid is wearing a basketball jersey with zombies on it. That's really funny. Oh my god, no! Bring back the Hasselback potatoes! Possibly the most explicit fan service we've got so far at all. The way they interrogate Sid is by stripping both Tsubaki and Maka and showing big zooms in on their pussies pressing against their underwear, being very, very visible. What the Christ? And Sid getting excited and going woohoo about it, even though these are her literal students, little kids. He'd really get off on that. That does not feel in character at all with Sid's personality, either as a villain zombie or as a good teacher before. And then the punchline is, oh, Sid doesn't get aroused from Maka's pussy because Maka isn't as sexy. She's got a flat chest, she doesn't have boobs, therefore somehow looking at her pussy isn't as arousing. Like, they've drawn the two pussies exactly the same. I don't get the joke. If the joke is meant to be that Maka does not have a good pussy, you did not draw that. You've drawn the same disgusting foul thing 2 times, and just, Jesus Christ. The fucking end of it, like, don't worry, nobody blames you, everyone agrees Maka isn't sexy. Fucking God. I'm really, really glad they exercised this from the entirety of the canon. Everyone involved becomes a totally different character just for the sake of this joke. I do not believe any of these characters would do this to their female partners. I don't believe that it would be played off as a little funny joke rather than causing Maka's trust issues to blare up again. I don't believe that Sid would be a paedophile on his students. I don't believe that zombieism makes you suddenly become a paedophile to your students. Did Frankenstein install a cyborg paedophilia activating thing in his brain? Come on, man. It's a really, really shitty end to what was otherwise a great chapter. Again, it's not the appropriate time to have fan service. It's fine to have fan service. Just make it make sense for the characters, the people, the scene, the action, the tone, anything. And don't just throw underage pussy at the screen and assume everyone will clap like seals. Anyway, Stein's patchwork building looks even cooler because it's got a dramatic angle. Oh, and the order of things has shifted around a little bit. In the anime, it's after Lord Death says, "Oh, Frankenstein, Deathscythe's previous partner." Then it cuts to showing his lab and having a dramatic introduction. Here, the dramatic introduction happens, and then it cuts to finish the conversation with Lord Death explaining who he is. But I do find it funny they briefly show, just to remind you that Maka's dad is Deathscythe, just have a scythe poking out of him with Death literally written on it, looking like a football pennant. And hey, we end on a cool splash page. I really like this page where there's only one colour and it's the stitches on his coat going into the smoke of his cigarette. That's fucking rad. Also, this nice, cute little cover page. I like how they've got everyone's job listed, and then for Deathscythe, it's like, Deathscythe is the name, and the job is dad instead. Oh, a second colour page in a row. Neat. I wonder if this will be put on a different page for the Perfect Edition. Oh, the cold open for the episode was actually also in the manga. It doesn't make as much sense here. How it's like recapping everything. We are here on a remedial lesson. We are going to stop Dr. Stein. I wonder who Dr. Stein is. Because this was the second chapter of the overall serialization of the story. Do they really worry, like, oh, people might have missed the first one last time if they didn't know, oh, the one-shots are returning now? I'm not sure. Either way, it doesn't really seem right in either the anime or the manga. Stein's house has a little no loitering sign that wasn't in the anime. We also see one of his trees is sewn together. And the robot mouse figure's also here. That never came up again after that scene. I guess it kind of makes a little bit more sense in the manga, because it's just a tone-setting splash page of various different stitched things around that look cool. So I guess this is just one of many experiments that will never return. I also like the spiralling effect on the sky. And all the ominous setup and payoff for Stein completely losing his shit on his chair is the same in the manga. Great sense of pacing in both versions. And then also a really clunky, bizarre line. He should be called Dr. Stupid instead. That wasn't in the anime? Is that a translation of some joke in Japanese that didn't land? It just sounds as weird in English as if you were like, he should be called Dr. Sandwich. He should be called Dr. Sleeves. He should be called Dr. Stainless Steel Cutlery. Like, what is the joke? I checked it up and yep, this is a joke that just flew past the radar in English. In Japanese, Zukake Hikaze. The words for stupid and doctor, they kind of rhyme. I don't know any good rhyming jokes you could make in English, but they could have just gone for alliteration instead, like Dr. Dumbass. Oh, this panel of Stein looking on their souls is so much scarier with the fucking dramatic eye in the background. And this, I think, is a translation error. In the anime, he doesn't say Maka and Soul can't resonate. It's just they're having difficulty resonating. They can't reach their full potential of resonating. This just sounds weird because we've already seen them do it in previous chapters. But they did indeed not succeed at doing it. So that's clearly what it's actually meant to mean. Randomly, for some reason, Black Star says the conversation's going to be more avant-garde about me. That seems really out of character. I don't think he even knows what that word means, let alone how to use it. Manga exclusive, even funnier phrasing of roasting Black Star. You have one of the most intensely self-centered souls I have ever seen. Still the same information conveyed either way, but I just happen to like that one better. The sign for the Chupacabra Club has changed in this chapter, and I forgot to note in the previous chapters, in the anime it's just the name of the club and there isn't an actual Chupacabra mascot with a weird sexy body. And I think that's a shame because it's just a charming, funny detail. And I have no idea why they would choose to change it, because it's not like having a drawn billboard of a sexy lady is any less morally objectionable to all the actual real sexy ladies you already have. Oh, the panel in the manga that theoretically could be her turning water into wine, but you can't see the label on the bottle she's pouring in, so she could just be pouring regular wine. If so, I think the anime did a good job at putting in that one little brief visual pun. Oh my god! Okay, Stein owning the shit out of Black Star with a head, but it's even funnier. But I gotta say, The clarity of the panels is a lot less. The line of action between him being far away from Maka and not really getting a sense that Black Star is standing behind Maka before it happens, it's hard to register that as a headbutt occurring, unless you already know from the anime that's what happened. Instead it's just like, for no apparent reason, he pokes his head up next to Black Star and like exudes an electrical aura, I guess. It really is like power dandruff. But it's funny as fuck, so I can forgive it. Oh god, it feels especially weird to have Stein going, Spirit Senpai. Like, when he's roasting the man and talking about how he used to torment him when they were both teenagers, it feels clunky in English to have him be using especially respectful terminology. Like, I don't know if he actually was using it in Japanese, but presumably it feels more natural and normal in Japanese, not like an especially serious, respectful thing. But that could be the point, maybe he's mocking him by being overly formal, but I don't know. Oh my god, Maka's dad's face is even funnier. Oh, I feel so bad for him though. I know, a little detail that wasn't in the anime, he specifically says that Maka's mum is the one who rescued him from this abusive relationship. It makes it even more fucking depressing that Spirit then went on to cheat on her and betray her in the worst way possible. Spirit really be like, I got out of one toxic relationship, time to create a new one. Once again, the way they draw the big shooting energy beams out of his hand move is really, really good in the manga. But it was also really well animated in the anime, and unlike the scenes with Sid, I don't feel like the manga surpasses the anime in this way. I feel they're both valid, equally awesome versions. The way that this author handles spinning like that, it's so dynamic. Also, the explanation of, as we all know, this is how the magic system works, and he is defying the magic system, is a lot shorter in the manga. It's just one page. It is a little bit more clunky because they just have a lot of things in brackets. The anime, since obviously you can only hear what they're saying, you can't have visual aids like that, just rephrase the sentences in a way that makes sense. I still continue to really like how Witch Hunter looks in the manga a lot more. I love the glowy effects they go for in the anime, but it really obscures the details of the face. Also, I like the name Witch Hunter rather than the Witch Hunt slash. It feels so clunky. Oh, they made the creepy scene a lot worse. I was thinking, is it worse in the manga? Is it like, was this genuinely a full-on still fan service scene? And yeah, it is. He has a face like he's an actual pervert. He starts caressing her lips, saying her skin is so smooth before we start. That whole bit was removed in the anime. We just get straight to how disgusting it is. The way they also draw Maka when he's drawing the dissection lines on her, like having her legs all squished up like that and like showing a lot up the top of the legs, like the skirt is kind of going up, and the squiggly wiggle lines and the pained face. I'm sorry, that just kind of looks like that is posed in a way that's supposed to be titillating to the audience rather than just pure disgust. And I feel the anime really went for that. Like, it's in a sense like they are using fan service to deliver the plot, but I didn't feel like it was actually meant to be something that the audience would find attractive. Rather, you were supposed to have the intended reaction of, oh, that's horrible, he's doing that to Maka. Oh, he must be a terrible person. This just again makes it really hard to reconcile with the plot twist at the end. Would Lord Death really have let him go this long in pretending to be a paedophile just for the sake of a test? Oh, once again, the Black Star Big Wave just looks better in the manga? What is up with that? Did they have to reuse the same animation every time to save on budget? It's fully missing that actual animation of the star pushing them forward. It's just, I touch you and it goes bam and you take damage. I'm not sure why they choose to make that decision. It looks so dynamic here with Stein just completely crumpling against the star. It's like he's being hit by a bus. There's so much more of a sense of actual power from it. Oh, I love the manga framing for the Black Star gets owned a second time moment. God, the spiraling sky being brought back in this moment, looming over him, dramatically framed, so like entirely blanked out in white except the face in shadow. Every other shadow in the entire panel is gone except on Stein. Then just, the same, the pure sense of electricity is even more impressive in the manga because you realize someone had to make that happen with screen tones, and it must have been so much harder than being able to fully digitally edit it. Stein's one scar glowing too with the electricity, ooh, that's a nice detail. And how dynamically insane his arms stretch when you really look at it, like, that's where his elbows are? And then the little pose at the end where he does a little like Wallace and Gromit hand pose in the end, it reminds me of the fucking Salt Bay meme. It's such a level of sass in that. Like, this was so, not even any effort expended to completely destroy this man. And he can just do a little dance at the end. I really like that. The scene with Kid going, I'll join the school if it means I can save them, is delivered a little bit better in the manga, just because the pacing of it is so much faster. It generally feels like Kid rushed into this decision, cut his dad off, and wasn't taking no for an answer, and his dad did actually try at the end to be like, wait, actually, it gives you the impression that he was going to say, no, it was only just a trick, they're not in any danger, but Kid ran off too fast. In the anime, much as I love the funny animation for them slowly skipping away, it has a side effect of making it seem like Death was not in any way going to confess he was lying. Did he do this on purpose to try and trick Kid into joining the school? I was feeling that when I was watching the episode, like, that feels out of character for him, and this makes a lot more sense. Oh, I love this panel of, like, the ground being in stitches and the stitches glowing whenever the shadows happen. A little Frankenbird looming over watching the scene. Also gonna say, didn't even mention this before, good foreshadowing that we have these little arrow trees just casually sprinkled around where he lives. That's a visual reference to a character who will be important to his plot later. I gotta say, Maka's breakdown is a little bit less well delivered in the manga, because in the context of the manga, she hasn't really got to have as many badass moments before this. It doesn't feel like a character who's already proven she's great in so many ways has reached a challenge she can't surpass and is having a brief moment of breaking down. In her two main focus chapters she's had so far, it has just been both times kind of ooh face, and then a bad thing happens and she gets really emotional. Isn't it just expected that she would break down in this moment and need to be motivated and talked through? This does feel like exactly what I was commenting on in the anime that they don't have is, oh, we have a female protagonist, so she must be weaker than all the boys and struggling more to do everything, and constantly need the men in her life to come along and motivate her. It's so weird to see how just different framing of a character in the scenes surrounding a scene can give you a different impression. It's kind of like, oh, I can't do it, I can't win, at the first challenge you've ever met, rather than someone who's already met and surpassed many of them, finding something a little bit too strong. Even the manga still abruptly cuts from Maka's really important emotional moment to fucking stupid kid jokes. I explained this in the anime episode that's now gone, so I'm going to do it again. This just feels really disrespectful to the drama of a scene that's happening. It's so abrupt and it's so tonally opposite. It's the same problem as suddenly cutting to Blair in the bath doing a fan service scene. It's just jarring. You were all there invested in the emotions and now you're not. There's one brief dialogue change where Liz in the anime just says, let's run really, really fast to go save them and not think about the toilet paper. In here the line is, let's run really, really fast back home, check for toilet paper, run really, really fast back here and resume saving the guys. Sol's speech to Maka is still equally as awesome in the manga, so this is not actually a difference I'm pointing out. Just say, I forgot to mention this in the main episode, I really like the line he has where he's like, and also you're gonna beat that stupid womanizing dad and prove you're better than him. Like, that was really the thing that Maka super needs to hear right now. You are leagues better than that man, and motivate yourself by knowing that. I am on your side about this shit. I really love the summoning animation for Soul here. I'm not sure why it suddenly has these, like, electronic DNA particle things going on when it never has before. They creatively make a new kind of transformation animation every time, and I can respect that. That has been a recurring element in the manga. I did note that with Tsubaki. I guess it happens with Soul too. Oh, that's such a cool panel of Maka swinging the scythe. Not quite as cool with Stein putting his hands out like, yeah, come on, I can take the hit. The way they framed that in the anime from a different angle did look better, but it's understandable with this being how much space you had on the page, you have to put it this way. Oh, the blade catch is even more badass. 2 whole fucking pages taking up all the negative space in that panel. For sheer, again, really great with these motion blur effects. I think that's where the author really shines. Oh, we don't actually have a cool effect of it shattering like glass at the end. He just kind of slams his hands and it dissipates instantly. Good change in the anime. Also not a change, I just wanted to show the happy patting I'm actually a good guy scene in the manga, because it's equally as cute and equally as wildly shocking and equally as cathartic. Slightly weird note to how he phrases it at the end where he's like, everyone can come stay at my laboratory tonight. Instead in the manga, it's everyone can come stay at my house, and it also calls them you kiddies, and then there's a little heart emoji at the end. All together with that and the portrayal of him earlier on as being a weird pervert, it does give like possibly accidental impression that, oh, that was a genuine part of his character and not part of a lie, as he actually is a bit creepy towards children, and I don't think that's canon. I never got that impression from the character later in the show. And I'm going to hope that future chapters of the manga don't have more exclusive pervert scenes. And if they do, I hope the anime continues taking them out. Anyway, we end on the same funny ending, and hell yeah. Episode 6? The boring, weirdly long cold open was just one single page in the manga. The joke hits a lot better when it is just bam, 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 there you go, haha, we're late. This splash page is cool. Doesn't really mean anything though. Oh, we do get to see the in-between stage of Blair almost getting a final design for a cat form. In the manga, Stein just says we're dissecting a rare bird, doesn't specify it as being a cuckoo, and the design does look a lot, but it also looks like a heron, just a different type of one. Also, oh, that really reframes that whole returning scene. Yeah, in the anime, it's really unclear if this scene here is Tsubaki imagining Black Star has ditched her to go join with Soul. In the anime, it just seemed like Black Star has legit ditched to go be with Soul, and it made him seem like a total arsehole. I was like, why is there no resolution in the end of the episode where he says sorry? So that makes the whole scene make a lot more sense. They were just teaming up for this one fight, and everyone got the wrong idea. Again, Black Star's slightly less shitty in this version. Now, one thing I do like a lot better in the manga, they translated the well-translated joke even better. In the anime, this joke is completely reframed. Soul just says, oh, you're 3 hours late, you were meant to get here at 7, which is a good way of setting up a joke to still happen, but I like it even better in the manga. I was remarking in the anime, oh, it's a bit of a shame it loses the aspect that Soul is insulting him, so I really like this creative solution here. Oh, I've heard of riding on your dad's coattails, but your dad's must be 7 feet long. It's nice, it's funny, it's in character, and it works. Oh wait, I also need to give a context of what this was in Japanese and why it can't be directly translated. In Japanese, it was an idiom, the 7 lights of virtue that a parent gives to the child, which is something about like a raising philosophy, which has now become synonymous with saying a kid is really spoilt. I don't know the further context of that is just a general gist I've got from the wiki. So both of these versions were a good solution of getting around that. Because of course the joke is, kid is just, don't say 7, say 8, it's more symmetrical. In the manga you actually hear what Black Star is saying when he's standing really far away from everybody. In the anime they stretch this joke out really long with his muffled sound, him really far away, panning back to them, oh we don't know what he's saying, panning back to him, oh they can't hear me, panning back to them, oh we don't know what he's saying. In retrospect it's very obvious that was there to pad out time because this chapter just wasn't long enough to make a full episode. Soul in the manga being like, wait, why the hell did I get involved in this? Knowing the context here of like, oh they weren't actually teaming up forever, it's just like Soul was kind of chilling out with his friend Black Star, like I have no idea what you're doing, but okay, I'll hang out. And then he's like, oh I didn't really want to get involved in it because I didn't think you were going to go kill a man. That does feel more in character. It also does feel in character for Soul to still insult the guy even if he doesn't actually want to murder him. This joke was a little funnier in the anime. Here it's just, oh we interrupt Stein and he says okay you can go. In the anime they interrupt him midway through the dissection and he's like, oh I was just getting to the good part. Same as we saw with the Black Star gets hit with the back of a blade thing, they actually do fake you out in this moment. Oh, did he shoot Soul with a real bullet? Did he get hurt? In the anime, there's a very obvious, like, it's not just a bam explosion. You have like a shady, magical, sparkly effect going over it, so you couldn't be mistaken for actual smoke from a gun. I guess this must have been a persistent censorship rule that they had to follow at this company. When Stein exposits the backstory of the twins, we don't see a cool design for them in an actual backstory. We just see them as they currently are. There is no joke about the friendship combination attack genuinely rattling Kid and him thinking it was real. It is still a gay joke in the manga, but it's very short and not as funny. It's just generally framing things with shoujo tropes as they have their breakup arc. It's also not as funny when Kid interrupts it with a gun. We barely see any of it, it's just this tiny, tiny panel. Oh, there's one secondary gay joke that was lost in the anime. In the big moment where Kid grabs Black Star and kicks him towards Soul in weapon form and he smacks his head on it, in the anime the emphasis was more on and then he smacks his head into it. We see it from behind and it's just a joke that Black Star got hurt. In the manga it's like, oh, they touched faces because that's where Soul's spirit face was in the weapon form. So like, the Naruto and Sasuke accidental kiss joke. And this is what I mean about Kid's super duper mega transformation at the end looking cooler in the manga. It's not so covered up with effects. I do like how the little sparks come in with squiggles at the start. It looks like honestly better that way. And then how they draw him very angular and it goes well with his obsession with symmetry, how they do the shading on his head. However, they don't have the joke of people who can see souls, people who can't see souls. Instead, for some reason, it's only people who can't see souls. And it doesn't feel like as much of a punchline when you haven't had the setup for it. Also, I have no idea what's up with this line from Black Star. I sentence you to wring out our ball cloths. The fuck is a ball cloth? Like, do you literally mean you wear a loincloth instead of pants? And it does also kind of ruin the moment that they have his little translation notes in all of his text boxes showing who exactly is talking while they're loading up the attack. It also looks way more impressive when it's this big 2-page spread and the whole gun effect is bigger than the panel of everyone reacting to it. I'm also surprised that the skeleton explosion effects were already here in the manga. If anything, they look even better. And the ending is a lot more abrupt and has this voiceover saying, the consequences were that Kid was in bed for a week, he missed school for a month, and then he's been persevering and going to counselling sessions. And again, it's like they just keep wavering on the edge of treating his mental health seriously or not. Like, he's literally suicidal, he's literally going to real actual therapy, but it's still supposed to be just a joke. Poor Kid. And the cute reconciliation between Maka and Soul at the end is a lot more abridged. It's more carried by, like, here's a bunch of panels that just look really cute. They don't say as much. And it also doesn't mean as much in the manga because they didn't really have a breakup at all. Because the whole thing was just Tsubaki's imagination in the first place. I have no idea what this translation is supposed to mean. Whoa, it's Shinigami-sama in real death? Is that a really bad pun on in real life? But why would they be saying, whoa, it's Shinigami-sama in real life when they've already met him and talked to him in previous chapters? Born in the Future popping in, this finally hit me 2 days later. Why didn't they just go, whoa, it's Lord Death in the flesh? Or not? Ba-dum-bum-shh. Weird little oversight, when Maka tries to see Lord Death's soul, it doesn't actually show the souls of everybody else around him, thus establishing he doesn't have a visible soul. Instead, Maka just says that's what she's seeing. It's such an obvious choice, so I'm glad the anime did it. And then, like I said, Maka is way more casual and unconcerned about it here. So it doesn't feel as much of a dramatic reveal.